And hello and welcome to the Legends of the Wind podcast. I'm your host, Jurri Schenck. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It is a pleasure to be with you. I'm super excited about today's show with our guest, Abbey Duplaga, and her prophetic story called Dollhouse. It's so cool, and I want to welcome you and talk to you about what is prophetic story. What are stories from heaven? You know, people may not understand this at this time, but what I love about storytelling is I'm a creative person. I love the filmmaking world. I got my degree in production at USC. I write other stories creatively, filmmaking, editing, sound design. And one thing I love about doing that process is that I know that God, our creator, he is a creator as well. And people kind of get hung up about what we do when it comes up to the idea of the term prophetic story or a story from heaven. See, it's different than a prophetic word. A prophetic word is what you get in a ministry time in a church setting. And that's a very sacred moment for people who are receiving a prophetic word. For what we're doing here is a creative work of art. It is a part of a design, something that from the imagination, where we use our prophetic gifting and what we see and hear in the spirit, but we merge it with the creative arts, with storytelling. Like if you look at the painting behind me, my wife Alisha did that design. She uses her ability to see in the spirit and uses her talent and training as an artist to create the painting and to invite people into those worlds. Now, what I love to do is I love to tell stories from heaven. And what that is that if there's a library in heaven with books written about you and me, wouldn't you want to know what story you're in? This is still a creative expression, and it's still a powerful experience. And it doesn't have to be a literal word or an actual factual telling, but more of a creative expression, like a painting, a portrait that helps you reveal who you are and your identity and destiny. And that's what these stories do from heaven, from Legends of the Wind, is to give people a sense of who they are and where they're going in their life. And so that's totally different than just ministry time. And I hope that makes sense to you. And I'm super excited about what we're doing here at Legends of the Wind. We're really plowing forward. We're pioneering a whole new way of expression in the prophetic. And I want to thank you for being part of our journey. So today's guest is Abbey. Abbey, I'll give you a little background about how I met Abbey. I just recently wrote a book that's a teaching book called How to Find Treasure in Your Story, a Guide to Prophetic Parables. And my sister Jessie last summer did some editing work for me, which was more of content editing. It was heavy lifting, really brutal. And then I later, after 3 months of working on her notes, I needed a proofreader, and Abbey came along through our friend Julianne Burke. And Abbey spent some time going over my book and really even taking it to a whole nother level of clarity. And I'm so thankful for her. So we wanted to bless her back and gift her a prophetic story. And that's what we're doing here tonight. And so I want to welcome her to the show right now and bring her on board. Just a second. Abbey, hello. Thank you for being my guest tonight.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Why don't you explain to the audience a little bit of who you are? But before you do that, I worked with Abbey on the book, but we held a firm boundary while we were working together because I wanted to bless her back with a prophetic story, and I did not want to know hardly anything I could learn about her. So we basically, until today, I get to find out who the real Abbey is. And so, Abbey, would you reveal who you are to the world and to me as well?
It was so when I was reviewing your book and I was like meticulously going through it, and I'm thinking he is going to think I'm over the top because of my edits, and he didn't like have any background or context of who I was, and I'm like, I hope he's okay with the whole thing. It was great though, but it was very like we were very like focused on just the book. So it is neat to be able to be like, oh, this is Abbey tonight. So yes, I'm actually a children's author. I've authored several books.
Wow.
It's a character development series for kids. I have some of them with me here, but
Nice.
yeah, they're all realistic fiction based off of things I actually did in my life as a
Oh,
child
cool.
that I wrote into stories to share with kids. Uh,
Nice.
a call the Lord gave me as He pulled me out of an accounting career. So I spent 10
Wow.
years in a CPA firm, um, radically encountered by the Lord and commissioned to do something totally different. And so
Oh my
I followed
gosh.
the leading of the Lord, took a very big leap of faith, got stripped down to nothing, and here I am. And the Lord is so good, and He's guiding me through the pathway of being creative when I was completely opposite, the other direction.
What? See, we just saw our CPA for our taxes last week or so, and she's meeting Alicia, and the CPA is like, uh, I'm not a creative person at all. I just do numbers and that, and so she was looking at Alicia because Alicia is very much numbers and creative. And you almost seem like Alicia, my wife, about all this.
And
This is
great.
crazy.
Once I encountered the Lord, that part of me opened up. Like the creativity was always there, but it was squashed in the accounting world
Oh
because I was
yeah.
thinking so, matter of factly. And so it's been neat, and even seeing some of it overlap now in different ways. But as I was reviewing your book, I'm like, he's gonna know. No, he's not, because I'm being like very straightforward, like about the book. But I'm like, I'm very detail oriented and like a detail oriented accountant. Like as I'm like skimming your your book, like going through line by line.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's amazing. Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm kind of processing everything. So, um, well, just like I said, I want to thank you for your work and helping me with my book, and and I'm so excited to really now get to know you, and
Hmm.
um, and just so you know, after the show ends, don't hang up. Alicia and I will talk to you offline, so she'll
Yeah.
join us. Just so you know, but the fact that you made the decision to leave a high paying job as a CPA and to go into this realm that you're talking about, you made a decision of sacrifice. That's huge. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, and so may the Lord richly reward you for your faith and for your giving. And
Thank
so
you.
want to encourage you with that. And so it's like your story. I'm like, I wonder, like, okay, so I know the story, you don't, and I'm like, what is this gonna mean now? So I'm really curious about how it's gonna land. So for those of you
Yeah.
who are new to prophetic story, well, I'd like to guide you, Abby, and the audience, on how to receive a prophetic story. Okay,
Hmm.
so a prophetic story is a revelation, and it's meant to be understood symbolically, not literally. So when you listen to the story, Abby, or the audience, look at it from its function, not from its actual form. The whole idea is that there's supposed to be hidden treasures in it just for you. And there's a place of discovery for you. And so after we're done talking, I'm reading the story, we'll talk about it. That's the time of interpretation. That's when we get to learn and unpack what's in it. And the whole point is to have the application. So after you, Abby, hear your story, learn what's in it, what does it mean for your life? Like, how do you receive it? And that's another thing. You have power, Abby. You have a choice. You can say, yes, I receive this prophetic story, or no, I don't receive this prophetic story. And there are times people and guests have said that they need to process this. So they'll go back and listen to the podcast again, or they'll read the PDF that I email you after the show, and you can chew on it. It's kind of like you're learning more and more of what's hidden in there for you. The Bible says that God has concealed a matter for us as kings and queens. And it's the glory of God for us to search them out. And so that's the whole point, is for you to search these things out and discover them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. I'm so
Wow.
excited.
Well, I guess that's a pretty good preview for you on how to do that. Everybody, thanks for joining us. In the chat, we welcome the chat's involvement in the show. Please give your comments and questions, especially during the time of interpretation. And yeah, that's good. Abby, do you know what time it is?
It's story time.
Yes, good for you. All right, here we go. It's time.
Oh,
All right. Hopefully you have a notepad or something to write down on.
you got it.
All right, here we go. Dollhouse. The power of role-playing was on full display in Abby's childhood through playing with dolls, wearing costumes, and having adventure in the yard. Abby's friends back then were numerous. Sometimes they visited her house and bedroom or played on the swing set. The commotion and romping about brought quite a bit of chaos and noise to the home. Abby's dollhouse, however, was quite a treasure to her. Her grandparents gave it to her when she was young, about 5 years old. Grandfather hand-built it and created many details in the different rooms. Grandmother provided the furniture and was perfect for creating the interior design. All was well in this home. Abby's mother, for her birthday, bought dolls of various kinds for her to play with. There was the mother doll, the father doll, and the children. There were also animals that she could play with, a cat, a dog, a rabbit, and even a baby calf. Abby wondered in her imagination if these dolls could speak and think and listen. She played with them over and over with her friends and often by herself. One day, Abby was very sick with the flu and had to stay home in bed. Mother tended to her and took her temperature. Abby had a high fever and felt chills shaking underneath a pile of blankets. Her stomach was nauseous, and Abby drank some lime-flavored soda and crackers to help calm her. Father came home during lunch to check on Abby. He said, "My precious one, I am here for you." He placed his hand on her head and heart and prayed for healing and blessings. Abby felt the tender love from her father and fell asleep. The rest was what she needed. The pain of the flu season was too much for her. She felt overwhelmed with dizziness and knew that lying down for the moment was exactly her proper posture. After some time, Abby heard some noises at the end of her bed in the corner of the room where the dollhouse sat. She blinked and opened her eyes, feeling confused. "What was that?" she asked herself. Abby gained some strength and sat up. To her surprise, the dollhouse was closed and it had lights on inside the rooms. There was some music playing from where the living room was located. Energy filled Abby's heart and body, and she got out of the bed to investigate. Abby peered into the windows of the dollhouse and saw the family of dolls dancing around the dining table. There was such glee and delight. Abby felt heartsick watching this moment. The image brought back memories of her own home. There were times her parents argued around the dining table and discussed their business, trying to decide what to do and how to pay the bills. This stress and frantic anxiety worried this little girl's heart and produced a deep wound in her. But the delight inside the dollhouse gave her hope and spoke to her that her future would have a great turnaround. This vision was as if she was still a child, but still spoke to her when she became an adult. In one of the other windows, Abby peered inside the bedroom of the siblings. Here were the children of the family, all working together to plan their futures. Instead of fighting, they encouraged one another and lifted each other up when they were down. It was as if heaven came to earth. In the garage below were the animals. Abby loved that they enjoyed each other as well. They all played and got along. These images seemed too good to be true. The dream within a dream spoke to her heart's deep promises. Abby then tried to open the wall of the dollhouse to enter into the promise of a healthy family, but the lock was tight. She was unsuccessful in pulling open the latch, and it hurt her little fingers. This inability to access this delightful home and family broke Abby's heart. The glowing light from inside the dollhouse shined on Abby's face and made her tears glisten as they rolled down her cheeks. The pain was real, and so was the disappointment. Abby crawled back into her bed and got underneath the covers. She fell back asleep. In her dreams, the music continued to play. As the little girl laid in her bed, the sound of the instruments got slightly louder and the blankets lifted off her. The ceiling and walls all separated at their edges and pulled up and out. The size of the room increased and the parts of the home broke apart. Abby's bed seemed to float away. Her body hovered in a dark space and the stars twinkled and sparkled all around her. Abbey felt complete peace in this floating space in the spirit. She sat up and looked all around her. Far below her were the depths of the earth. To her left was the past timeline, and to her right was the future darkness. A glowing orb appeared off in the distance and flew toward Abbey, hovering in front of her face. This angel orb was about 6 inches in diameter. Abbey looked closely and could see other galaxies and realms of heaven within it. Then the orb flashed multiple times. Little eyes and many wings covered its edges. "Who are you?" asked Abbey. She held up her index finger and touched the orb, which rippled as if it was made of water. "What are you?" asked Abbey with even greater wonderment. The orb replied with a soft voice like rushing water. "I am a messenger." "What is your message?" asked Abbey. "Come with me. Take me into your hands," instructed the orb. Abbey reached over, and with both of her hands she carefully cupped them around the orb. In an instant, the orb shot like a bullet, taking Abbey to the right and into the future of darkness. Lights, sounds, energy, and music of delight all whirled around Abbey as she flew at what seemed to be light speed. She came to various visions or portals of time, looking at each of them. Inside, some of them were images of the present. Here was one. Abbey sat at the same table as her parents did, all alone, looking over a large stack of papers. Calculators, a computer, files, and photographs were strewn everywhere. This was a new process she faced, and the difficulties of understanding what to do filled her mind. Little Abbey watched present-day Abbey in the corner of the room. They both felt the sadness of the present. Little Abbey turned to the angel orb, and with despair she asked, "When will this end? When will this season end?" The orb rotated and spun in flashes of blue and white light. He replied, "There is a time and season for everything, a time to sow and a time to reap. Let's look again." Little Abbey turned to look back at the table and saw that the room was empty of furniture. Instead, there were many boxes packed up and stacked upon each other. Outside the window, little Abbey could see a moving truck. The vision then rippled and changed, and little Abbey and the angel orb returned to the in-between space, and they saw the truck travel across the country to a city called Hope. Adult Abbey was now working for a better company with friends and healthy bosses, but this moment only lasted a little while. Adult Abbey soon became a manager and oversaw others in her department. A man in a business suit handed her a certificate of honor and completion. This helped establish her in a new place. The visions for little Abbey then swirled around her again. Flashes of the images just flew by. A wedding, a baby, a home, a car, a vacation, more children, playtime, graduations. Little Abbey cried out, "The dollhouse! It came true!" The angel orb spoke again. "Inside your heart there was a little girl who needed healing and encouragement. Today you see the future and your fulfillment." Little Abbey wondered if these could be true and trustworthy. She thought to herself that the promises were too late. Little Abbey and the angel orb flew even further into the future. They found themselves on a park bench watching many children play. Little Abbey looked out to the left and saw old Abbey and her husband walking hand in hand. They both were eating ice cream, and peace and delight were all over their faces. The elderly couple came up to little Abbey and saw her. They smiled. Old Abbey leaned down and kissed little Abbey on her forehead and placed her hand on her heart. Old Abbey said, "Time may pass you by, my child, but do not fear the future. You have seen yourself here. Now bring it back." Old Abbey placed her hand on little Abbey's head as she closed her eyes. The vision went dark, and the music of the dollhouse played and became a full orchestra, rising louder and louder. The stars sparkled and flew across the way. Next, the angel orb took off into a coil of spinning light. Little Abbey found herself back again in her bedroom. All the blankets were off of her, and she sat up looking around. Mother entered the bedroom with a glass of water and medicine. "Honey, I have some painkillers for you. How's your headache?" Abby's countenance changed. She had life and energy in her eyes as she smiled. Mom, I had the most amazing dream. I saw so many things. Mother's face beamed as to see her daughter feeling better, and she sat down on the bed. Abby's mother said, Really? Tell me, I must know. Little Abby relayed all the visions and experiences to her mother and told how she was heartbroken. But today, all the pain has gone away. Abby told her mother about the power of the dollhouse and its promises. What came next for Abby was an unfolding mystery, even though she knew parts of the future. This hope in her heart gave her the courage to move forward and leave despair behind. Nothing will stop Abby as she pursues her dreams. She went to the future and brought it back. Inceptio.
I'm speechless. I need a moment.
It's okay, Abby. Wow. Well, for those of you who are new, Abby, I'm here for you. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to read that again. Oh. That was so good.
Yeah. I kind of had a glimpse here out of the corner of my eye as I'm reading, and are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. I knew that it's just so exciting to receive like insight from the Lord to just confirm what he's already showed you. And I was hoping that it would. I didn't really know what to expect and what to hope for, but man, so much goodness.
Wow, great. Tell me what it is.
You know, the Lord gave me hope is my word for the year.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, there's so much. I don't even know. My parents were divorced, and all of that hit so close to home. The wound, the heartbreak, all of that.
Yeah.
And seeing into the dollhouse of the family and the
Right. Because that's what you wanted.
Mm-hmm. And a want for myself. And so when older Abby was telling little Abby, she was with her husband in the park, and I've been believing that God was bringing my husband, and it's just such a confirmation that he's coming. He's part of my story.
Wow.
And so are children.
Well, I see. I didn't know if you were married or single. I had no idea about any of that status or any of your story at all. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm not married. I'm 39, and I've been believing God for my husband.
Yes.
I've gotten a promise for him, and I've been standing on that for several years now, and the promise of children as well. And so that's just so cool that they were at a park with the kids, and you know.
Oh gosh, sometimes I'm aware how much of a risk I take doing this. Oh boy. Wow.
I mean, even as much as like her ascending into the heavenly realms and having this experience and seeing into the future, that's what happened to me when I encountered the Lord. I had such a radical experience where I talk about it. Like I was raptured into the heavenly realms. And in that place, God showed me these things, you know, he showed me future things. And it's like I've been walking in this place trying to reconcile that. And that's even just like how you mentioned times and seasons and all of that. It's just what he's been showing me and teaching me and sharing with me through this as I've pulled things from the future from him in my story.
Wow.
That he showed me that are for me, and that I'm, you know, wanting them to manifest here on the earth, like in whatever timing God has for them to do that.
Amazing. Wow.
But it's a confirmation of what he's showed me. And so that's just radically wild.
It's so cool. I don't know what to tell you. I'm kind of thrown off myself, and oh, wow. I mean, guys in the chat, if you have anything to say more, please do. Abby, oh my gosh.
I'm so encouraged. I am so encouraged because the little girl that was so hurt, I see all the stuff that God has done, even in my family. It's beautiful.
And the story talks about
It's
all of
such
that.
it does.
Oh my
Woo!
goodness.
That was
Well,
so good.
um, what else in the story is working for you? Anything specific? Any details? Ideas there?
I feel like I started to cry and then I I lost like some of the middle.
Okay.
After she was doing stuff like in the future.
Hmm.
Um, what did you said they were in the park with children, right?
So what I saw when I wrote it is that little Abby sitting on the park bench with the angel orb were watching children playing in the park. They look to the left and there's old Abby and her husband walking down the path with ice cream, and they're very happy and they're eating ice
Oh, okay.
cream, and then old Abby and little Abby connect.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it wasn't necessarily they were with their kids. I think I missed that part.
Um I don't know. I just saw children. I don't know.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I'm excited.
Melanie Sherbs has been in the chat, and she said earlier, "Come on," and said yes. I don't know if she's a friend of yours or not, but
Yes. Yeah, what is she saying?
she said, "Come on," and then high fives and fire, and then yes.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
Melanie, thank you very much for your comments. If you have anything else, you're more than welcome to share. And man, Abby, I'm just so grateful and thankful that this story is encouraging and bringing confirmation to you. You know, I've had pastors tell me that they wouldn't do what I do. I just go into this blind and I just see the story in my imagination. I write it, I feel it, but I really don't know what's going to
Yeah.
happen in the podcast when I deliver the story. And I told Alisha the other night, and I'm like, I think this could be really powerful, but I don't know. And here it is.
Like you met my story to her?
I did. Yeah, she always
Oh
gets
my,
the preview.
yeah. Oh my
So,
gosh, I can't wait to read and just meditate upon it and just like pull it apart, like those treasures.
yeah. Jen Wheeler here
Dreams.
has a comment. You definitely should chew on it. Jen says, "How many children do you desire? God is so faithful to keep His word." Heart icon. Oh my gosh.
3. I want 3. I mean, that's what I feel like he's put in my heart. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he said a set of twins and then another single. So we'll see.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. Um. So, what about the very first sentence? I was thinking about that. The power of role
Role
playing.
play. Oh
What
my
about?
gosh.
Yeah.
I wrote that down. I have to tell you this. When I was a kid, I was in a biblical play.
Uh huh.
I was the crippled child that got healed.
Okay.
And I would go out to this drama every summer with my mom and my siblings. And I just thought it was such an awesome aw. I wonder if that's Melanie, my friend. I'm not Melanie Roskovich, but I know she knows as Sherbs. I don't know if she's going by like an old name. Yeah,
She
I don't
says you
know.
definitely have a gift. I'm over here totally cheering you on. I'm so excited for Abby. Cool.
Uh,
Cool. So
yeah,
you were saying, thank you, Melanie. I appreciate it.
yeah. Um, what was I saying? Oh, so I loved like acting, and I still do. As an adult, 25 years later, I have returned to this play, and I play the Samaritan woman and Claudia, Pontius Pilate's wife. So I've always had a love for acting, and actually, my 6th book is about role playing or being in a play for the little kids. And so that's always been something that has been special to me. I played with oh yeah, that is my friend Melanie. I played with my sister. My sister and I are 20 months apart. So we had my cousin at our house. Like, it seemed like everyone was at our house because I had a brother. Like, so all of that was like the chaos, the noise. like lots of friends, whether it was my older siblings' friends, my brother's friends, my sister's, like my little sister's friends. We were like the hangout spot. Like everyone came to my house. And
That's
so
so
we
cool.
class. So when you said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so like
So
so good.
so
Oh my
from the
God.
very beginning of the story, you knew it was right on.
Yeah, as soon as you said role playing, I was like, oh, here we go. And then friends and chaos and noise. I was like, oh, here we go. And then you talked about I was sick and my dad prayed for healing. My dad's an incredible man of God and he has a gift of healing.
Oh wow.
Um, I've seen miracles, healing miracles happen with my dad when he's prayed for people. So the fact that my dad was the one in the story that was praying for healing was just like that hit me.
Oh
Um,
wow.
my siblings, like in the story, it said that we lifted one another up. That's how we were, like, as we were together, like our parents were divorcing and then in other relationships. And it was like we had to like stick to each other
Mhm.
and keep ourselves encouraged in all the things that had happened with like moving and just so much, but all the time, like my siblings and I are very close,
Wow.
very close. And we all lift each other up still. Like they're amazing, amazing believers. And it's just incredible what God has done in the midst of all of the heartbreak
Wow.
as a child.
What about
Oh,
that's amazing. What about the grandparents? Because it said here in the story that your grandfather hand built a dollhouse, grandmother provided the furniture, and then your mom gave you the dolls. That's interesting.
okay. Yeah. As a kid, I wasn't really into like Barbie dolls, but I
Mm-hmm.
love baby dolls. And
Yeah.
so, and my mom, she was all about like fostering that in me. And
Mm.
so that made sense to me that my mom bought the dolls. But my grandfather, it's so interesting because there's an apostolic anointing on my family. They're all builders on my dad's side.
Okay.
And they're all business owners. And so that just I feel like that represents just the call on my line, you know?
Okay.
When you think about building something, the grandfather built it, the grandmother designed it. And I mean, I don't know. My grandparents are deceased. Like I never got to meet a lot of them
Right.
because they died when I was younger on both sides, pretty much. But
Well, that's the okay because this is not meant to be understood literally either. It
that's
could be,
right. You're right.
it can
Yeah.
be understood symbolically. So when you talk about your lineage having an apostolic
Mhm.
calling, a house,
Mhm.
apostles build houses, right? So that's
Right.
that's right on for what the
Yeah.
story is saying and for what your grandparents built or had the generational blessing. That's amazing.
Isn't that
Wow.
neat? I know.
Oh, well,
Oh.
I'm just learning with you in this time. Um, what about the angel orb? Sometimes I've seen people who have photographs on the internet where during worship they have crazy things happening in their cameras, and they call them angel orbs. And
Yeah.
does that speak to you in any way of any kind?
Well, I've seen them in my mind's eye,
Mm-hmm.
but I've also when I was in Israel recently, I
Okay.
went like last year,
Mm-hmm.
last year at this time, I was in Israel
Okay.
and we actually caught a picture of an angel at the tomb. I have to share this picture with you. But so I've always had this fascination for them because I know they're so real and they're ministering and they're warring and they're helping us. And so I've always wanted to see them. But I will say, when I was not saved and I went to the dark side,
Yes.
I was obsessed with like orbs. Like I went ghost hunting and stuff,
Oh
like
wow.
trying to figure out what this was, but they were really demons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that just like, was interesting as far as my intrigue for the supernatural.
Yeah.
It's always been there, even as a kid, you
Well,
know?
the thing is, like, there's the in our faith, there's the authentic version from heaven, and then there's the
Right.
counterfeit, right, which is the corrupted version. For example, the authentic would be the prophetic, hearing and seeing in the spirit, and then there's the counterfeit, which would be, psychics or mediums or spiritists. And so one is from Holy Spirit and one is not from God at all. So I guess that your desire for the supernatural, that's a genuine desire before you're a Christian or not. So the thing is, for your story, I just think it's a word of encouragement that messenger, right, is always here, that God's moving on your behalf, and that you can go into the future and take it back. That's what Prophet Kim Clement would always say. And I mean, honestly, for you as a little, in the story, for you as a little Abby to meet old Abby, that's like a kiss from heaven in my eyes, because it's like you're gonna be fine, it's okay. And then if you, like Kim Clement would always say, go into the future and bring it back. David, you saw in my book, right? David knew Holy Spirit before Jesus was on the cross, and he had that kind of relationship with God in the Old Testament. And so if you can see the future that God's promising you in this story, or in your prayer time, or your journaling, and you can hold on to that, you can say, this is mine now, and you can start manifesting it over time. I think it's a beautiful thing. I mean, long ago, I was in LA. I was already married with Alisha, and I was having a rough day, big time. And I was in the bed. I was probably in the afternoon. I was not feeling well, and I heard in my heart the phrase over and over, confidence. And I'm like, that's not the Lord. Who is that? And I was hearing, and God, Holy Spirit spoke, says, that's you in the future.
Oh, wow.
So I was hearing in the spirit, me in the future, speaking to little or younger Jurri at that time, encouragement. Now that's kind of that'll throw you for a loop, right? I don't know how that would be done theologically in the Bible. I have no idea, but it was very much a moment for me to be encouraged. That was also another lesson where we need to speak to ourselves and like be a mom and dad to ourselves. Like, one of the things I've learned over the years, I have to parent myself. I have to be a dad and a mom to the little Jurri in me. And your story is like that too, in the old elderly Abby talking to you as a youth.
You know what?
What?
This is so wild too. This just came to me. So my whole series for kids, you guys, is called Ambitious Abby.
Right.
Right? And so you talked about, older Abby with like little Abby. So this is like little Abby in all my stories. I'm older Abby writing about little Abby in this entire children's series.
That's so good.
That the perspective of the prophetic story was old Abby telling little Abby what's coming.
Wow.
Is that
See, I didn't know. I didn't know this.
This is crazy. Like, this is just hitting me. Like, that is just crazy. Yes. Because I'm literally telling stories about my life to little kids so they can garner from them.
Wow. That's amazing. See, I don't really know. I'm kind of like, I'm overwhelmed right now because I don't know where to go with the show because this is so good.
And then the scene where I was back at home and the table with stacks of paper, like in the computer, and I was with my dad and my mom, and I was observing, right? Mm-hmm. And there was.
So what it was, it was you at your age right now, sitting at a table like your parents did, and you had a calculator, papers, computer, and little Abby was with the angel orb in the corner looking at you as today.
Oh,
and you, and it also said the phrase, hold on, It was a phrase of, this was a new process she faced, and the difficulties of understanding what to do filled her mind. And then, yeah.
Go ahead. Keep going. Keep
So
going. I
then
missed this part.
Abby's talking to the angel, and then she says, "Take a look." Actually, I have to make sure. Little Abby turned to the angel and said, "When will this end? When will this season end?" And then she looks back, and then there's no more furniture. It's gone, and there's boxes stacked on top of it, and there's a moving truck out the window.
Okay, guys, to everyone watching, this is so crazy. So I was an accountant with a computer and stacks of paper, and I was a manager. It says that I was a manager, right? There was something about that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I did for a living. And then I couldn't take that season anymore. God pulled me out of it. So there were moving trucks because I moved away from where I was at. I left that career. I moved away from the city I was in, and I came home, and it's like literally stacks of boxes. I was like completely misplaced and displaced from what I knew to take a risk to follow the Lord for this calling that he gave me to write these books.
Oh my goodness. Oh my god. I'll let Melanie say something here. She goes, "So good, I'm blown away. I love this. Thank you." You know, the glory goes to God, because you know, I'm just here to show creativity. You know, this is amazing. Wow, Melanie, thank you very much.
Was that one of the first things the angel showed her? Was her doing well, like managing?
Let's see. I think so.
Sorry, I forgot the order.
It's okay. So, take me in your hands. Yeah. So as soon as little Abby saw the angel orb, she was floating in the space, and grabbed the orb, and it whoosh took her, and that was the first thing. Was okay. That?
Yes, that makes total sense. That's what I went to school for and worked so hard to achieve and do. And so.
Wow.
And then where did they go after that? Can you refresh my memory? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So after the computer, then after that, moving truck, rippled space. Adult Abby was working for a better company with friends and healthy bosses, but this moment only lasted a little while. Adult Abby soon became a manager and oversaw others in her department. And then the story continued. A man in a business suit handed her a certificate of honor and completion. This helped establish her in a new place. And then it was flying by wedding, baby, home, car, vacation, children, playtime, graduation. And then Abby cried out, "The dollhouse, it came true."
Okay, so this is so good. Okay, so I leave the career, I move, I've gone away. So now I'm in a new place, and healthy place. I even work with Melanie, who's a friend, right? But I feel like that is also part of like the ambitious Abby call and whatever God's gonna do in that place. And I know that it's supposed to be a business that I employ a lot of people and get to do. And so that there is that management aspect that this story talks about.
Right.
And being honored for whatever this is with the kids is what I've kind of put together with that.
Oh,
but we'll see, like whatever the pair, you know what I'm saying? Is it something different, but it's so full of like peace and joy and rest, and it's healthy, you know? It's not like I'm on a rat race, like with the computer with all the papers stacked high. You know, it's a whole different expression.
Wow, so good. Wow. So what else is there anything else to unpack, or are we good? What do you think?
But I like the short while, like the job I had right after was only for a short while. So that makes me encouraged that this season I'm in is not going to last forever. Because sometimes it can feel like it takes forever, and you're like, no, like it's actually going to end. It's seasonal, but like when you're walking through it, it feels like, you know.
Right.
So that just gave me hope. That gave me some hope. So.
Oh my gosh!
That there is something after this, you know?
I'm so happy that this has rocked your world. This is amazing. And then we got Melanie of your friend here
Mhm.
chiming in and adding amazing confirmation too, and excitement. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So
And then you said wedding, baby, and other things. But the wedding baby thing was just that hit my heart because that's my heart's desire was a wedding and a baby, you know.
yeah, and I have to be very careful too, because like I was just typing what I'm watching. Um,
Yeah.
the rules of the prophetic, don't no dates, mates, babies,
I
all
know.
that,
And
and I'm
I was
like,
praying, I'm like, Lord, please reveal it if it's so. Please reveal it. And it
yeah.
came out.
Well, um, see, this is where I become. Usually, I just go for it and I don't think about it, and now I'm thinking about it. It's like, oh
Yeah.
dear. So, Father, whatever is not of me or not of you in this story, bless Abby anyway. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Well, Abby, I mean, like, if you were to talk to other people about prophetic story and explain to them what it is, like what has happened for you tonight in this broadcast, and also like what would you tell them about, what would you say to encourage them to get their own story? Because we're building this and we're pioneering, and this is basically by word of mouth at this point.
Mm.
And we're wanting people to be blessed and encouraged. What would you say to those things?
What I love about the prophetic is that God's already spoken these things to your heart, and the prophetic simply confirms what He's already put there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you share a story and you know absolutely nothing about me, and this comes out this way, and the hope and the encouragement, the edification, the confirmation that happens, it's literally like revelation light that just shoots right through your like your veins and sets your heart on fire for like if you're ever in those moments when you're doubting, did I really hear God right, did I really see that right, you know, like you have those moments and the enemy loves to get in your head and make you confused, and especially if you're in a waiting season and things are taking time.
Mm-hmm.
So and he loves to kind of beat you up in so many ways, like in your mind. And I feel like when you get something like this, it's such confirmation that you can really it like expands your faith, and it gives you that extra push that you need to be like whenever you're in that place and the enemy's trying to make you doubt, like no, stand on what you know because you know this. It might not make sense, but there is no way somebody who's a complete stranger would know any of these intricate details other than they got it from the library of heaven, right? And so I would encourage anyone to do this if they want that encouragement and they want to know that what they've really been feeling and discerning about their life and their destiny is true, like in what they've actually seen. And I was hoping more than anything, I really didn't have any expectation for what the content would be,
Yeah.
but I was just hoping it would be something that would edify and encourage my heart for
Yeah.
what God has shown me. And that is exactly what happened tonight.
Wow. Amazing. I'm so glad I could help you
Yes.
with that. That's amazing.
I'm so happy.
Oh my gosh. And Melanie has another comment
Yes.
here. This is so good. She says, it's
Amen.
the drink of water you need to continue the race. Oh my gosh, of course. The marathon,
Amen.
right?
That's what it is. That's a perfect example of what that feels like to get this story.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've been running a marathon in my
Oh yeah.
faith in this
Oh yeah.
season, and it's that drink of water, it's that refreshing, it's that coaching, like keep going.
Amen to that. I see,
Yeah.
Melanie has another comment. Holy anointing water from heaven. Beautiful. Yeah, and so
Amen.
Abby, talk about like from in your own words, why prophetic story is different than the prophetic word. Like some people don't really fully understand. There's a big difference here. Like, what would you say?
I like the prophetic story because it's such a unique expression with details. There's so many details. Like sometimes I feel like you get prophetic words, and even as people give prophetic words, it's almost like they're sometimes afraid to say what maybe they're seeing or hearing. Like, and I feel like you're just bold and you go with it, and you're like, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm hearing, I'm just gonna write it down. And I just feel like it's so cool because the details add so much that all mean something. Like, it's so many treasures loaded into one story that there's no possible way you could know this stuff. And I think it's just such a, because I've had prophetic words and they've set me into tears, but like the way that you got the creative expression of it, it adds just a whole nother element.
Wow.
It's like taking it to a whole nother level.
Wow. Amazing. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad that the arts are speaking in a new, fresh way. It's good.
Yes. I'm
Wow.
so encouraged.
Oh,
I'm just so thankful. Thank you, Jesus, for that encouragement. Thank you for using Jurri as such an obedient vessel. Like, I'm just so thankful and I have such gratitude in my heart.
oh, I am grateful too. I mean, I'm glad. I mean, every show is a huge risk, and I'm always like, okay, let's go for it, and like here it is. And so I'm so glad that this blesses you so much, and this is so cool. Oh man, wow.
It's so good. I don't know if I can sleep tonight because I'm just like so excited.
Well, make sure I didn't even ask the audience. If you like this show, hit the like buttons. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. And one of the biggest things is share this with other people. Share this broadcast with as many friends and family as you can. People right now at this time in history are not Googling prophetic story or stories from heaven. And we're just building this by faith and seeing what God's going to do and spreading the word. But every show I'm sowing into the people, and I'm grateful. So if you guys are wanting your own prophetic story, go to my website legendsofthewind.com and go to the store and get the product we call Become a Legend. And just remember that these are creative works of art. These are commissioned creative paintings in story word form, just like the painting Alisha did. And so we're building this. It's not the same thing as a church ministry. It's just a totally different thing. So I hope that you would respect and honor the idea that this is something that we're creating together. So go to legendsofthewind.com. There's also a link in the description below about how to get a story. And I'm also thinking that Alisha's may not be the right season for her, but Alisha does artwork for the stories. You can get a custom-made design for your prophetic story, and Alisha can paint these things, hard or soft bound. These can be keepsakes that you can have forever. And Alisha's done an amazing, beautiful job of doing all the art. And then the stories in there. There's some other information in the books. And I highly recommend checking that out on our store as well. And Alisha also says, here, where is she? Let's see here. Hello. There she is. Alisha says, I'm so glad Abby was blessed by your story, Jurri. Oh, yes, absolutely. And here's another one. Another beautiful painting she's done. Yeah. So check that out on our website. And also check out Alisha's website, alishasimaginarium.com. She has an amazing artwork that she's done there as well. So Abby, thank you very much for being my guest tonight. I'm
thank you.
Overwhelmed, and my mom has said something. Abby, turn around. You may have not noticed something. Someone's expect a miracle. Turn around?
Like physically turn around?
I don't know. Sometimes my mom's kind of cryptic, but yes, thank you very much. All right. So Abby, it was a pleasure giving you this story. And, you really blessed us with helping us with the editing of the book. And I'm so thankful that this will speak to you for a lifetime. This is amazing.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, everyone, that's the end of our show. Abby, don't hang up. And
I won't.
we appreciate everybody spending the time with us, learning about Prophetic Story, learning about Abby's Dollhouse story, and about how she's encouraged in an incredible way. Thank you so much for everything, and we'll see you in 2 weeks on the next broadcast. Thanks, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.